just one more one-on-one session today, but we're going to be looking at Eileen by Atessa. I think I say that right. Mosh Fay. Okay, so instead of looking at Eileen as a book, we're going to look at Eileen as a character. How does she make you feel, and like what was the thought process whilst you were reading it?
She's a very grotesque character.
Yeah, she's a bit weird.
The way she details sexual acts with herself, sex in general when she hasn't really never done sex.
What do you mean by like sexual acts?
The way she talks about touching herself, how she wants to be forced when she has sex. It's an uncomfortable read. There's a lot of detail of things you don't really read and want to hear about.
Yeah, it's a bit strange. Okay, so as we just picked up on, there's a scene she talks about in particular is where she's standing in the shower and she talks about how she likes to touch herself and she thinks what it'd be like for a man to touch her, and then she goes on in a later date saying how the first time she wants to have sex, she wants to be forced into it. She physically wants to nearly be raped, basically, she goes on to describe. As a man, how would that make you feel to read? Because she is purely showing men as a sexual, like just sex, basically. That's all men are good for, is what she's trying to say.
It makes you feel like she's a bit of a psycho, a bit unhinged, a bit tapped. Yeah, and it's just like I said, it's really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
She's a weird character.
As a woman, it wasn't comfortable to read because being raped is something women would never want to go through. And for her to say it turns her on and it's just something she fantasises about was just so weird and so uncomfortable. So moving on from that, but not too far, staying on the sex topic, how did you feel about reading the Lee Polk scene when Eileen goes to the detention room and she stands there and she watches him as a 16-year-old boy touching himself and starts to wank, basically, and she stands there and watches him? How does that make you feel?
It just goes to show how psycho and how weird she is. She's a lot older than him, a lot superior than him, and to kind of just watch him without him knowing, basically against his will, because he's like trapped in a room, it's just not right on any level.
Do you reckon that Atessa, sorry if I'm saying that wrong, could have missed it out, and do you think it wouldn't have been relevant? Is it relevant or isn't it relevant to the story?
I don't think it's relevant to the story, not at all.
No, I think I agree with you there. I think it could have been missed out, and it was just something. Okay, on one hand, I think it agrees very much and goes with very much the fact that she is unhinged and she is a bit crazy. But on the other hand, I think it just shouldn't be mentioned and it shouldn't be brought up, and it was just too weird and we don't like it, so we're not going to talk about it anymore. Moving on, so Randy. We know that Eileen's absolutely infatuated with him, that she is like so in love with him, she stalks him. Do you think Randy feels the same?
No, not at all.
No.
No. Randy's a very masculine character. Probably the complete opposite to Eileen.
Yeah.
She's very cowardly within herself. She's not very confident, which comes across in the way she dresses, the way she talks to people. She don't really interact very much. So I don't think there's a match made there.
No, I think I agree with you there. So just to wrap it up slightly, we're going to move away from the sex topic and talk more about the death. Death's brought up and mentioned quite a lot throughout the novel. We first see that obviously Eileen's mother dies, and you know, we see her holding on to the dead mother's body, you know, clinging on for that last bit of love and affection. And then we also hear about how the family dog dies and she leaves it in the garden to freeze overnight, which is a bit weird, and then buries it. And then from the very first moment we start reading the book, we find out about this dead field mouse that she keeps in the glove box of a car. How do you think all this ties in with the novel?
It foreshadows the theme of death, growing death, which develops throughout the novel, which probably represents her leaving at the end. Conceptualises it very well.
Yeah. And also, obviously, because she's got Mrs. Polk's body at the end of it, do you reckon it foreshadows that event as well?
It does. It's just the theme of death which grows throughout the novel, which is emphasised at the end when she has the body.
True. So overall, did you enjoy Eileen?
I did enjoy Eileen, but sometimes it was just very difficult to read.
Yeah.
And it just made you want to just put it
Stop
down.
reading.
And just leave it.
Question your life.
Yeah.
See, I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't my cup of tea. I didn't enjoy the backwards and forwards in between old Eileen and young Eileen, and I definitely didn't enjoy all the sex that she talked about. It was too far, too weird, too grotesque for me. So do you prefer Girl on the Train or Eileen?
I prefer Girl on the Train. There was a lot more suspense, a lot more tension, quite a good plot, which made you keep guessing what was going on. And for me, Eileen was just a bit vulgar.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I'm definitely a Girl on the Train fan. Thank you very much. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.